So does anybody know what's worse than a zombie? That's right, a Nazi zombie. Nazi Zombie Army is a spin-off of its parent game, Sniper Elite. The standalone game can be best described as a Left 4 Dead clone. The game does support single player and is very playable, but would be best consumed with 3 of your friends or Steam buddies. Sadly, being a Left 4 Dead clone is all they seem to have inspired to be, all the way down to collecting gas cans missions, which is a shame because this game has some real sparks of imagination in some areas. I would like to tell you about the game's story, except it doesn't actually have one. The game does start with a short cinematic of Hitler basically losing his shit and ordering that Project Z be initiated. But what comes after is mostly a muddled mess that doesn't explain what's really going on. Best I can guess is that the Nazis, refusing to admit defeat, use ancient occult rituals to open Hellmouths and something or another. It's really vague and not that interesting, to be perfectly honest, nor is it anything near original. The gameplay formula mimics Left 4 Dead fairly heavily. Playing with a third-person camera, you are dropped into a level and tasked with making your way to the exit, with a few basic tasks along the way, such as activating a switch, or collect these gas cans, or grab this key, or hold out against this horde. You'll face a small cadre of enemies, including large hordes of your typical slow-moving zombies, as well as bonsai-style Nazis who charge you before jamming a potato masher grenade into their mouth and pulling the pin. Skeletons and machine gun-wielding zombie tanks round out the list. Oh, and they're snipers. Yep. What's worse than a Nazi zombie? A Nazi zombie sniper. Headshots are your best options, as merely wounding zombies can result in them springing back to life and being ready to eat your spleen all over again. But in a pinch, vital organ shots also do the trick most of the time. Before each mission, you can pick your loadout of a sniper rifle, a submachine gun, and a sidearm, as well as your typical grenades, mines, tripwire mines, and dynamite. During my playthrough, I found that some of the weapons don't really feel well balanced against some of the others, and you just end up with the preferred set that you stick with throughout most of the game. So what does the game get right? Well, first, the environmental details are very well done. Slowly rolling fog and wafting green mist set a perfect tone for a zombie killing game, and give the player a feeling of being in a late 80s or early 90s horror flick. The war-devastated environments are nice, but I feel the aesthetic is repeated a little too often, and it starts to feel repetitive after a while. The music, however, is another gem as it sets the tone to the game brilliantly. The title theme, for example, sounds exactly like something John Carpenter would have wrote for his early 80s horror movies. The sound effects, while nicely done, are again overused in a few areas, almost near the brink of annoyance. Thankfully, this only happens a few times, however. Of course, I have to mention that the game includes Sniper Elite's gruesome kill camera and bone-shattering animations, which takes headshotting a zombie to a whole new level. It also leads to some fairly entertaining moments, such as a bullet ripping through a zombie's head, tumbling down, slamming through another's chest, and finally spiraling off to embed itself into the thigh of a third zombie. Sniper Elite Nazi Zombie Army will currently run you about $15 on Steam. If you're a die-hard zombie fan, you will probably have some fun with this title, but you may want to wait for a major Steam sale before you pick it up. Overall, the game does have some sparks of creativeness, but is brought down by its attempt to simply clone another popular title. Because of this, the game never really shines on its own, and it'll leave you with a feeling that you've done all of this before. As I said, if you're a die-hard zombie fan, you may want to take a look, especially during a deep discount sale. Just don't expect too much from the single-player experience, as the game is definitely geared towards co-op zombie carnage. Overall, I'm giving Nazi Zombie Army a 6.5 out of 10.